So, hello everyone. Welcome to the show today. I am Hayya Lee-McDonald, and this podcast is still to be named, but it is all about real estate and entrepreneurship and the life that happens in between all of that. Today, I have Lynzee and Lauren on the show today. They are spouses, entrepreneurs, and they're doing this together, similar to my husband and I. And so, what I wanted to talk about today is your journey into entrepreneurship, real estate, as business owners as well, and then how do you do this? And like, how did you come to be doing this with your spouse? Because not everybody's spouse is bought in. So or not everybody's partner is bought in.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive in. So Lynzee, you and I met recently through, of course, Pace Morby's Step 2 program. We're doing a whole bunch of things with him. Like every week it's something new that we're learning. But we met through that. And Lynzee is a veteran, Army veteran, 15 years of the special operations. And there's a whole lot that you've done. Jump master, you speak Arabic, you're a business owner, you're an expert in relationship building. I could go on and on. This bio has a lot of meat in there. And same with you, Lauren. Lynzee, you're a 12-year veteran. Lauren, you're
She's 15.
15-year veteran. Jump
Yeah.
master as well. So see,
Yeah.
there's a lot. And I don't want to have this thing up to my face reading it, but um, first of all, let's talk about what made you decide to go into the military, first of all, because obviously, with so many years in there, it's a significant part of your life experience. So, what attracted you to the military in the first place?
Go ahead.
So my dad was actually in the military. And to be completely honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I did one semester of college, and I just knew that I didn't want to be broke and living with my parents and or like just remaining in waitressing. Just, like I obviously wanted to do something and serve a greater purpose, but to be honest, I just didn't want to end up in my parents' basement. So, and my dad actually encouraged me to join. He said, just do 2 years, just do a 2-year contract. It was, pretty like relatively recent after 9/11. So they were doing shorter contracts, and they got me for another 15 years. I just kept re-enlisting and, learned a lot and definitely stayed in a lot longer than I expected. But that was what my dad really gave me, that initial push to join. And then I just kept re-enlisting.
Now,
Yeah.
what
And
about
then
you,
for
Lynzee?
me, so I have a totally different path. I did the whole like college thing. I was a college athlete, so I played soccer my whole life. I got a scholarship to school, went through school and graduated. I played professionally for a few seasons, and during that time, my brother was serving. He enlisted kind of like right towards the beginning of when I got into college, and just seeing him go deploy and like do something that was kind of like a bigger cause, like it made me feel like really selfish for just like getting paid to play a sport. So after I finished playing, same thing, like just not making a whole lot of money. I was bartending, working at the Cheesecake Factory, shout out. um,
Well, good food,
but
right?
just kind of wanted to do more with my life and contribute back for like all this good fortune I felt like I got throughout my life in terms of soccer and getting paid to play and getting my education paid for. So he convinced me to enlist, which I still am upset with him for that, because I didn't commission to become an officer. But it
Ah.
worked out the way it was supposed to.
hmm
So I joined a little bit later in life, and yeah, it was essentially just to kind of give back and also have like a steady paycheck. So
Yeah, yeah. So now, is this where the two of you met in the
yes.
military?
Hmm.
See, it paid off, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like
If
it
nothing
may not have
else.
been the path we chose, but we met each other, so
Yeah.
but it worked out.
We actually met on a deployment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that I'm sure kept it more interesting, made it more interesting, right? You had something
Yeah.
that, yeah, that's not war, to focus on. So that's great to hear. So now you're entrepreneurs. Where did you begin that entrepreneurial journey? Because we know each other from the real estate investing space, but where did your entrepreneurial journey begin?
I think it kind of started with doing STRs. Like she would deploy and we were always on opposite schedules. So she would deploy and I would be home. So I would stay home and rent her house out for her. So we started doing that, what, like 2018?
2018, 2019.
Yeah, right around like pre-COVID, we started kind of renting out, dabbling in, house hacking, renting out spaces and stuff. And we kind of got the itch there, and we were still in the military. We're like, man, this is really cool. Like this, we can be our own bosses. We can kind of set our own times. We can make our own money. So we really kind of found it that way. And then it sort of evolved as we started coming to the end of our military career. Really just trying to figure out what we're going to do. Full disclosure, I'm like a disabled veteran, so trying to find something that kind of fit into that wheelhouse that lets me kind of work around the disabilities that I kind of incurred while in service was really appealing. Like we wanted to be our own boss. I kind of wanted to be able to set our own schedule, and the military did a really good job of just giving us these like leadership skills. And we like really just want to have employees, like be that boss that we wish that we had in the military. And just have the opportunity to own something that's our own. So it really, honestly, it kind of developed from short-term rentals, and it just like blew up from there. And then obviously the Pace Morby and Zero Down really piqued the interest even more, and we've really hit it hard since then. So
Awesome.
So now, no, that's exactly it.
When people talk, their keywords just splash out to me as I listen. And for me, the word disabled popped out for me. And there may be some people listening here who are thinking, hey, I'm at some sort of disadvantage because of whatever, some perceived something. Tell me about what it took, because disabled doesn't mean incapable, right? So I want you to speak to the people who might be listening and thinking, well, I'm disabled, or I have this shortcoming, or whatever else they might be thinking, whatever limiting belief they might be thinking about. Talk about that. How do you get past that label of something supposedly stopping you?
Absolutely. That's an awesome question. We've actually kind of been talking about that within the last couple of days. It's been really hard for me because, like I mentioned, grew up my whole life as an athlete. Like I was a professional soccer player, and I could do whatever I wanted with my body. You know what I mean? And then like post injury and everything, I'm really having to come to terms with like, okay, I might not be able to do these things anymore, and just kind of admitting that to myself. Like I've been trying to push through it. And it's like, I'm finally coming to a point where I'm accepting like, okay, this is like aggravating my condition. Like this isn't like healthy for me, and kind of just shifting that perspective to like, this is what I was good at, but there's so many other things and so many other aspects to myself that I can offer people. So it's just kind of been figuring out like where that shift is and like where I can be most beneficial, because like most of my life I've been, like I really enjoy like hands-on doing like labor type things, any physical activity I've been all about. And now I'm trying to shift more into, I don't know how you'd say, maybe more like my intelligence abilities. Like I'm really shifting and learning new things that I can kind of provide value in a different realm. So it's like, it's not necessarily that I'm not able to do anything. It's like, being disabled, it's like, you're not used to being able to do the things you've done your whole life. So it's shifting to kind of be able to say like, all right, I'm going to focus here and kind of improve on these other things that I may not have had time to like previously. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is, to me, it's kind of a metaphor for marriage, actually, because, and this is something that I learned over the years, because I had a coaching business before I closed that down. And I, struggled with closing that down because I felt like I was giving up these natural gifts or passing off these talents that God had given me. And, I came to this realization that, hey, the vehicle changes. My gifts didn't change. The vehicle changed. And now it's this opportunity to find a different way to use those gifts, or find different gifts that I didn't know that I had. But this is, to me,
Oh, still there.
Yeah. So, yeah, to me, it's also kind of emblematic of marriage as well, because both of you aren't going to be strong in the same things. And something someone said to me before my husband and I got married is, you're going to be mad at each other and probably not like each other at some point. You're going to take turns, right, with that. But just make sure that both of you don't fall out of love at the same time, right? You have ups and downs. So, Lauren, talk about, I'd love to hear how you guys balance it, because, Lynzee, you're talking about being disabled and thinking about what you can't do that you used to do, but now you're discovering other strengths. Now, Lauren, there are natural strengths that you bring to the relationship and to the whole equation of business, et cetera, that Lynzee doesn't have, and vice versa. So now, how are you working with, what Lynzee is dealing with, and how do you bring everything back up to above water?
Yeah, so another great question. So actually, I would love to plug Dr. Brene Brown. I love her.
She's awesome.
And yeah, she's great. And I listened to something she said recently that we've actually been practicing, which if we really try to be aware of where we're at in terms of our energy, and what we're able to give in the relationship or in our work that we're doing or daily activities. And I'll let Lynzee know, hey, I'm at like a 20% today. And then she'll ask me, okay, well, like what can I do to pick up the other 80? And then she'll let me know, I can't, if I'm at 20 and she's at 10%, we try to sit down and figure out like, okay, how can we collectively get to that 100% to complete whatever it is we need to get done? And I hate to admit how much the military really, I was in the military since I was at the tail end of 19. So it really molded a lot of the ways that I deal with life in general and how I communicate. And it's really impacted our relationship. And so, we worked a lot on small teams where, things did not get done. If there were issues on the team, if there was tension, you couldn't get your mission done. And so as much as I hate to compare it to the military, it's true. So, being just constantly aware of where she's at, she's always very aware of where I'm at. And then making sure that we're just communicating with each other. So, we both naturally have different gifts. I'm also disabled. So, that's been something that we've both been dealing with together, just trying to figure out how to kind of redefine ourselves outside of the military and with those disabilities. And agree with what you said. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. It's just your capabilities shift. And and something else the military really ingrains in you is, okay, if there is no can't, like if you can't get it done this way, what else can you do to get it done? And so we really take that on as well. So, okay, like if Lynzee physically can't do something, what do I need to do to make sure that we can get the same kind of work and the same quality of work done? So, and she's definitely, in terms of the balance, like we balance each other out perfectly. Like I think we just, obviously I'm biased, but I think we make a really good team. Like she reels me in a lot. Like I love anything creative. I love making things beautiful. I love making things like, with our furnishing decor business, I love just like making something feel really homey. And she really keeps me in line with like my budget and the timeline. And she's like, okay, like yesterday we were at a store looking for furniture for a client. She's like, we have 10 minutes and then we need to go. So she really helps. She's my finisher. So I couldn't get things done without her really like keeping me in line, which sounds really bad, but I mean, it's true it's true. But this is why I don't like my husband to go grocery shopping with me. When he's like, oh, let me come help you. No, because you're going to be like, oh, are you done yet? Because I just went down this aisle and picked up whatever we need and, it's time to go. And I'm like, no, but I wanted to like meander and I want to
browse. So yeah, there definitely each person brings a different set of strengths. One thing I want to go back to, because this is very personal to me, and I guess more and more people are learning about this as I talk more on the podcast. But I want to talk about hardship and how that impacts how you show up as business owners, how you show up in life, and getting over hardships to be able to produce great things. So my husband and I, one of the things we've experienced, the hardest thing we've ever experienced is we have a wonderful daughter. We have two daughters, but one is in heaven. One passed away last year. That's like a huge thing. Thank you. But you would expect that, it did humble us and almost make us crumble for a while. But, there are definitely blessings and lessons when you have these kinds of hardships. And you really have to examine yourself, to see what are you made of? What are you going to do? You're still alive and you're still breathing. So how do you leverage the hardships that you've experienced together?
Man, my loss is like so much less significant than that. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
recently I lost my father, and that was probably one of the hardest things that like I kind of had to go through, and I really relied on her to kind of communicate with me about like how I was feeling. I had a really hard time I guess digesting the feelings and what to do with it, and I was just kind of just like pushing it down and working myself out of like thinking of anything. I just was working so much and trying to bury how I was feeling about things with work. And it really took her kind of communicating that to me, like, hey, you know, you might need to take a second and kind of reevaluate where you're at. Like, I think you're kind of like bypassing the trauma and not really processing it with work. So I'm the type of person that like, I'm just going to work my face off to not think about anything, you know, and she really kind of reels me in to redirect to process the trauma, but also make that drive that I have like productive. So I guess to really answer your question, it kind of just, I don't know, experiencing like hardships and stuff, it really just reframes like what's important and kind of like why we're doing things. It, you know, like we'll think back on, you know, like we don't want to be like our parents, or we want to set our kids up for X, Y, and Z. It just really helps us remind ourselves of like why we're doing what we're doing when things get like really hard and difficult, you know?
Yeah. And I think going through those hardships together, we both were able to look at each other, and same with her. She was able to tell me like, you know, I don't think you realize that this is how you respond to, you know, stress, or this is how you respond to whenever you're sad about things. So she was able to really kind of put the mirror in my face and show me how I respond to things and hardships. And so now, you know, I try to be more self-aware, especially with our business. Like, okay, if I'm stressed out, you know, I know that our business is going to suffer if I just continue to push through whatever I'm feeling. So really, we've really learned the importance of just taking that time to really step back and take care of ourselves and each other and regroup, and then get back into it without, you know, burying ourselves in work, and just continue to push through and not acknowledging what's going on like we used to. So
yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So one of the things, the hallmark of an entrepreneur, I think, is we just work really hard. And I love what you said, Lynzee, like you work your face off, because yeah, I do the same thing. When I'm in crisis, I work even harder. But, you know, I think someone listening who's thinking about entrepreneurship might think that's counterintuitive, counterproductive, that, you know, you take the time to process and, you know, get through whatever it is you're getting through. But how has taking that time to process actually made your business better?
So personally, like if I don't process it, like I'm working myself to death, but it's like I'm not either there all the way mentally, either in the job or in my relationship. So like taking that time really clears my head to be able to like fully commit to my relationship and also to the work at hand, because I feel like even though I'm working, like that back part of my brain is still trying to process that trauma or whatever had happened. So I think it's really important to take that time and process everything that happened to be fully there for your partner and also for your business.
Got it. So switching gears a little bit, just so everyone knows, what is your business? Because you talked about STRs, that's where you started out. What are you doing now?
Go ahead.
So we've actually started a business. So it's consulting, co-hosting, furnishing, staging, onboarding for hosts that are interested in getting their short-term rentals or their mid-term rentals started up. So we have a few clients, mostly in the Fayetteville area. So we live in Durham now, so we're trying to move closer to. Love helping out other investors that are just really, you know, it's not anything crazy. They're just, when you're getting started in that space, it feels so overwhelming. And, you know, I hate when people gatekeep and they like, you know, they don't want to tell any of their secrets or really tell how they got started or share their hardships. People never want to share their mistakes. And so people just want to talk about their wins. So yeah. You learn so much from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
we decided, like, what if we just, we can take everything that we've learned, the mistakes we've made with guests, with our listings, with all that, and just help some of these investors that are getting into buy and holds that just want a little bit of help, So that's what we do now. And Lynzee kind of compares our company profile to like a sushi menu. So some people want the onboarding, like they just want to know, okay, what site should I list on? What tech stack should I have for my guest? And then others are like, well, I don't want that. I have that, but I do need help staging. So they'll kind of go through and pick what they want. One of our clients, we're helping her do everything. She's a single mom, she's got 3 kids. She works 2 jobs, but she just purchased her first investment property in Rayford. She's so sweet, but she just got so overwhelmed, and she was really going to leave money on the table and turn it into a long term. So I was like, we'll help you out. So we were helping her with everything. We coordinated her photographer, coordinating lawn care, cleaning, all that, just whatever we can do to take things off her plate. And seeing people's faces, like she met us for the first time yesterday at her house, and just seeing her face, and she was so relieved just to have some help. That's so rewarding. So anyways, short answer is that's what we do. So,
yeah, we're looking at also acquiring some other businesses. We've been in conversations with a couple about purchasing their reusable like rental box company. They help movers by providing like reusable hinge top boxes. We learned a bunch of lessons from that. We're kind of in conversations. We floated the seller financing to them, and they're conversing on it now to figure out if they want to move forward with it. But big lessons learned is, business valuations cost money. Get a professional, because all business owners think that their business is worth $1 million. So
everybody thinks their baby's
that
cute,
was
right?
Yes. And it's so hard to tell someone that their baby is ugly.
Yes.
And it's funny because what we've noticed is in the partnership. So the 2 businesses we've looked at right now, they're both, it's similar to us. They're a married couple, and there's always the finance person, and then there's like the relationship person or the operations person. The finance person, that relationship, will do the business valuation on their own, and they'll make it sound like it was professionally done. So for anyone listening out there, I think it saves you money in the long run just to have a professional valuation done, because even then the numbers that they'll give you, they could be making up. And so if they don't look great from what they're giving you, just consider that even those are probably really, fluffed up a little bit. So that's been the biggest lesson that we've learned, even from people that we're like, these people are so good. They're so trustworthy. Like, I get a good vibe from them. And like, they lied to our faces, like, so it just, don't trust anybody.
trust but verify. We found a good business consultant that's got a good I think they're called CVAs. It's like they value businesses, but it was absolutely worth the money. And if they're giving you P&Ls that look like maybe they just like threw some numbers in Excel spreadsheets, like ask for tax returns. That's like a very good way to figure out factually what they told the government, what they were making. So that was probably one of my biggest lessons learned, is I was like, that's probably super smart. I didn't think about that. So
yeah.
And I don't know if you asked us about that, but that's our answer.
Sorry.
No, that's great. I think this is great gold. This is gold for people who are listening too. We've got to wrap up. I know everybody that I've had on the show, I feel like I can talk to you guys forever, right? There's just so much to talk about. But one of the things, just if you can give us like a soundbite version of this, for someone who's thinking, hey, wait, they just said they're buying a business. Like, how did you even get started? And how do you take that leap from, okay, I'm going to do this one thing as an entrepreneur, but now I'm going to go buy a business? How do you make that leap? And where do they start?
Get a mentor. I think that's probably where I could start. Like, get an adult in the room that has done it before, that you can rely on, that you can learn from. I mean, you can do it all yourself, but I feel like you're going to skip a lot of mistakes and hiccups and roadblocks if you have a mentor that's like maybe done a transaction or two as far as business buying.
Yeah. And I would say, like, get over the idea that business buying, investing is only for the rich and it's only for multimillionaires. Like, that's not the reality of it. And I think that's what scares a lot of people away from doing this. Business buying sounds like something only rich people do. And so get over that feeling that it's such an uncomfortable feeling to get past, especially I think a lot of us have imposter syndrome that do this. And so just get past that feeling of like, I don't know if I can do this. Just take the risk, find a mentor, but it's going to be a risk even if you have a mentor, and you just have to take it.
Right. There are a couple of really key concepts that you guys shared in there. It's the one, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's just the motto for entrepreneurship, because it's going to be uncomfortable a lot of the time. But then also the concept of mistakes. I think mistakes are really valuable. And frankly, all the mistakes that I've made in the investing space, it's really what brought me to the niche that I'm in, to make me so specialized, because I found opportunities in those mistakes. But what I want everyone to understand is that, well, one, you got to learn from the mistakes, right? You realize when you've made a mistake, learn from the mistake. And you personally don't have to make every single mistake on your own. Leverage other people's experiences, like you're saying, so you don't make the same mistakes again, because who wants to reinvent the wheel if it's not necessary, right? So, ladies, you've shared a lot of great information here. Now, if someone wants to reach out to you for, building up their STR business, their MTR business, how do they reach you, and what other things can people connect with you to collaborate on?
Oh, sorry, it's cutting out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So how can people connect with you if they want to work with you for their STR, MTR business? And then what other ways can people collaborate with you, and who do you want to talk to as well?
So our Instagram page is LNL Designs, but my Instagram is open. It's just Lisbeth88 on Instagram. So anyone can connect with us. I would give my phone number out, honestly, just because I love getting random texts and calls from people that just want to connect. But
let's not do that on YouTube.
But they can also email. They can email at laurenesmith051@gmail.com, and like I'll respond. I respond pretty quick. And as far as people we want to connect with, honestly, just really any and everybody. That's the other thing we've learned, is like, it's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship. So like, even if there's nothing that we can help you with immediately, or you can help us with immediately, we just love connecting with people, because eventually down the line, there's something you can do to help someone else out. So that's really just,
yeah. And anybody that just maybe needs a little help, like it's their first time. Veterans, obviously, we're all about like trying to help veterans out. Anybody that's, coming off of a disability, like anybody that's got questions that's starting out, we love to connect with people and just help out any way we can.
Well, thank you, ladies, for both being on this show. And, there's this common thread that runs through every single episode I've done on this podcast. It's that element of helping. You'd think that entrepreneurs only want to make money, but we've all talked about that element of helping. This is how we create change in the world. So thank you, ladies, for sharing your story. I hope you guys listening got a lot of value out of listening to Lynzee and Lauren talk about doing business, talk about hardships and all they've been able to create despite those things. So again, thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening in, and we will see you again on the next episode. Take care, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.